Hi there! Thank you so much for joining me today. I am making a very cute mushroom jar. And this mushroom jar is actually for my sister Nikki. She saw the one I made for my Toadstool Jewelry Hanger. And if you haven't watched that video, you definitely should. I will try to link it up above, but cards don't ever seem to work for me. I am going to be using 3 different colors. I let her choose the colors, and we'll be putting some interference blue powder into the blue color. The first color is Bunny Tail Opaque Resin Pigment from Create and Bloom Crafts. These pigments are amazing. They're very, very pigmented, so you don't really need very much at all. The next color is Lace Wing, and I actually used this in yesterday's Froggy Friday video, so if you want to go check that out, you definitely should. And our final color is Dorset Blue. This is basically Smurf blue, and I love it. I will be adding the Let's Resin Blue Interference Powder to this one, so it gives it just a hint of a shimmer. You do need to mix these pigments in very well. You have to really, really stir these. Stir it up. And that's exactly what I do. I stir this up and then I stir it up some more. You want to make sure that you're also scraping whatever you put the pigment on against the side of the cup to get it off, and then stir that in as well. Yeah, it was kind of comical how long I stirred these, but I just wanted to make really sure that I wasn't going to have any streaks. I actually did have a couple of streaks at the very end of the pours, but I think it was okay and not very noticeable. These have also been sitting for a little bit. I want it to be just thick enough that the colors won't mix together. Little darling, stir it up. Yep, I'm still stirring. When I say that I stirred the crap out of these, boy did I stir the crap out of these. Totally worth it though. These colors are gorgeous. It's finally time to start pouring, and what I'm trying to do is alternate the colors. So I do the blue in one part, I do the green in another part, and then I do the light pink in the final area. I do sort of turn this around as I'm pouring the colors more so that I'm getting the colors in different areas. I didn't want it to be like color blocked. I did want it to have a little bit of a swirl to it. I think it worked out. I feel like these colors are giving total earth vibes. Now it's time to pour the top part of the jar, the lid. And I start off with the bunny tail color. I did expect it to just sort of sit in the top part. I put it off to the side a little, hoping it would naturally head that way once I poured the other colors in and the level rose a little bit. I don't think it really did that, but wait until you see what it did do. It looks so cool. Since I know I'm not going to have enough resin by now, I'm already planning on making some more, and I'm going to leave that clear. I want to sort of swirl it around. It was a great idea. The execution was not so great. There's my clear, and I do add a little bit to the bottom part of the jar as well. Spoiler alert, it didn't look that great. It doesn't look bad, but you really can't see the clear. So I could have gotten away with just pouring it in. Now, here is where I attempt to swirl it around. While you really can't see the clear, it does make the rest of the lid look really cool. And I did a little bit of that same swirling on just the top part of the jar, which actually ends up being inverted and is at the bottom. After 2 hours in the curing machine, this is all ready for demolding, and this is not the easiest thing to demold. I end up using some soap and water to sort of break that seal and keep it broken so I can roll it off. Look how pretty that is. I really like this. I like the way it sort of swirled together in the jar itself, and these colors actually work really well together. I do have a little bit of trimming to do, but that won't be hard at all. I'll use my deburring tool and I'll use a nail file, and it will go really quickly. Because I didn't want to disrupt how I had poured the colors, and because the resin had been sitting for a while, I did get a few bubbles. Nothing major, and it's nothing that would make me want to start over. The blue pigment was clearly heavier than the bunny tail pigment, and it kind of sunk into it in a really cool way. I'm going to use some regular white acrylic paint to fill in the little indentations that sort of outline what are supposed to be polka dots. And I add in some of that same interference blue. Unfortunately, because the lines that I'm painting are so thin, you really can't see the interference powder. You have to look very hard. I have to say, when I first saw the bunny tail color pigment, I wasn't super enthralled with it. It's pretty, but it was just sort of ho-hum. But when I mixed it into that resin, I fell in love. It is such a beautiful, very, very pale beigey pink. It's not like a color I've ever seen before, and I can't wait to use it again. I hope my sister likes it as much as I do. I end up doing 2 coats of this, and then in between I'm wiping off anything that sort of landed outside of those indentations. I do use soap and water for the first go round. The second go round though, I actually let it dry a little too much, and I had to go in with alcohol because the soap and water just was not cutting it. I used a very small paintbrush and tried to be very precise doing this because the lid does have some micro bubbles on it. I didn't want to get the paint in those micro bubbles because I wouldn't be able to get it out of those sort of holes left by the bubbles, and it would make those little holes extremely noticeable. Otherwise, if you have something indented like this, you can just kind of smear that paint on, let it settle in the indentations, and then wipe everything else off. Once I'm done with the painting and it's all nice and dry, I go in with UV resin because I do need to seal this in, otherwise the acrylic paint will just flake off eventually. But I wanted to make sure I was very careful because the shine of the UV resin is slightly different than the shine of the regular epoxy resin, and I didn't want that to be very obvious. Sorry I had that bottle in the way. I have no idea why it was sitting there in the middle of my workspace. And I sped the rest of this up very fast because I don't want to bore you to death. I'd rather you have fun watching my videos. I don't need you snoring. I had a lot of fun doing this little mushroom jar. I really like doing projects like this that have sort of smaller details. I kind of zone out and get sort of zen. I don't know, maybe it's like my crafting version of yoga. Do you have something that does that for you? Okay, listening to true crime also does the trick for me. Once I've finished doing the little circles, it's time to add a little bit of embellishment. I didn't want to do too much to it, but I did feel like it needed a little something. I have these flower charms, and I actually used them in yesterday's Froggy Friday video as well, but I'm using the larger ones here. I thought it looked really cool with this. I didn't even notice that fell off at first. Yeah, I needed to use a little more UV resin to get that to stick. Don't worry, I fixed it. I'm giving this a flash cure with my cute little clip-on UV lamp that I got from Temu a while ago. I love this thing. It's really powerful, but really small. Very convenient. These little beads are meant to go in the centers of these flowers, and they fit in all of them, even the tiny flowers. I don't normally use them, but I thought it would just be a fun little extra. So I went through and I placed each one in the center with some UV resin. This all is going to get a full 5-minute cure, and then it's all done and off to the glamour shots we go. How cute is this jar? I love what the colors did. I think it looks really cool. And I really like the way that the colors behaved differently in the top part than in the bottom part. Everything still matches and it's cohesive, but it's just a little bit different. And I think it provides some really cool interest. I may need to make myself an earth mushroom jar. I hope you liked my earth mushroom jar, and I hope that my sister Nikki likes it too. Thanks for spending some of your time with me, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, my kitschy cats and kittens, and I'll see you soon.